So if you like the last video with the 2 locations, well, hang on to your socks, because this one is also 2 locations. Grab your luggage and book a flight. We are headed to Scotland, where there can be only one. Not for a quickening, but for some hauntings. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, and human habitation in the city has been traced back to as early as 8500 BC. It's a city with a rich and complex history. It has been the site of battles, brawls, and sieges across the centuries, so it's no wonder that people claim it's one of the most haunted cities in Europe. And here are our 2 favorite most haunted places in Edinburgh. The Vault in Greyfriars Kirkyard. The vaults are one of the most popular destinations for thrill seekers in Edinburgh. When the South Bridge was finished in 1788, there were 120 rooms or vaults underneath its 19 arches, ranging from 21 to over 400 square feet. The vaults under Nidgery Street are just a level under a bridge, so some noise from the street level wafts in if you listen closely. But the vaults on the other side of Southbridge, under Blair Street, are 3 levels below any traffic, and they are as quiet as death. When the bridge was completed, businesses and taverns opened in the small dank rooms underground. It was a bustling place for working people, but because the construction of the bridge was somewhat rushed, they never sealed the vaults against any flooding. After about 30 years, the vaults flooded and businesses evacuated. And then it became kind of a red light district, small rooms filled with brothels, illegal pubs, and criminals. Some poor families moved into these spaces that had no running water, no light, and no sanitation. The spaces were seething with crime, from robbery to murder. Legend has it that the famous body snatchers Burke and Hare would troll the Southbridge vaults for their victims, though there has never been any hard evidence to substantiate these claims. There have been reports of hearing disembodied voices and footsteps in the vaults. Some people have claimed to have been touched by ghosts or felt extreme drops in temperatures. Others have said they've seen mists or robed figures standing in corners. At least 2 full-scale paranormal investigations have taken place in the vaults, with some very strange findings. Today the vaults are closed to the public. However, you can often get inside via a ghost tour, or if you're looking up for an unusual place to have your wedding or host a private event, some of the rooms clean up rather nicely, but maybe get out of there before the witching hour. Greyfriars Kirkyard is said to be the most haunted place in all of Edinburgh, and maybe even all of Scotland. For all of you non-Scots, a kirkyard is a churchyard, which we all know often contains burial plots. The Greyfriars Kirkyard was founded in 1561, and the first burial was sometime in the late 1500s, and since then it's been the resting grounds for many well-known Scotsmen and women, but there are a few storied souls who are rumored to haunt the grounds of Greyfriars. One of those ghosts of Greyfriars Kirkyard is said to be Sir George Mackenzie, who was nicknamed Bloody Mackenzie after one of the bloodiest religious persecutions took place on the church grounds in the 17th century. In the early 1600s, a national covenant was signed, swearing that Scotland would have a national religion. 50 years after its signing, Charles II took the throne and began to follow the covenant to the letter. With the help of George Mackenzie, he rounded up all those not pledging to the national religion and imprisoned them on the grounds of the Greyfriars Kirkyard in what was then known as the Covenanters' Prison. The prisoners were held captive over the winter months and subjected to unspeakable torments, most at the hands of Bloody Mackenzie. Ultimately, he was responsible for the deaths of over 18,000 Scots in his pursuits to uphold the national covenant. This period of Edinburgh is often referred to as the killing time. Mackenzie's rule finally ended when he died in 1691. He was interred in a mausoleum on the grounds of Greyfriars Kirkyard, not far from where the Covenanters' prison was. Many people say that Bloody Mackenzie's terrors did not stop when he died, but that his unruly spirit reigns over the kirkyard to this very day. Some people have reported hearing noises in the graveyard, and still others have said they felt nauseous while walking near the mausoleum. In 1998, a man, perhaps a grave robber, broke into the mausoleum at night, and while trying to open Mackenzie's tomb, a sinkhole opened up beneath him and he fell into a pit. Inside the pit, bodies of plague victims that had been buried unceremoniously centuries before. He ran terrified from the pit. Is this coincidence, or is it something more nefarious? This is perhaps a benevolent presence that frequents the grounds of Greyfriars Kirkyard. A dog named Greyfriars Bobby, a Skye Terrier. Legend has it that Bobby belonged to a man named John Gray. When John passed, Bobby stood watch at his owner's grave for 14 years. That's 98 dog years. Bobby died in 1872 and was buried inside Greyfriars, not too far from where John is buried. After that, people started hearing the sounds of barking even when they didn't see any dogs around. It's said that he's still there, guarding the grave of John Gray. The next time you're in Edinburgh, consider taking a tour of the vaults or strolling through Greyfriars Kirkyard. That is, if you dare.